It's a rites of passage gold lame suit, isn't it? Elvis had one, you know, Bono's got one, Gold Blade have got one. It's a macho thing, really. It's like you draw attention to yourself. I don't seem to have to wear it anymore. I don't feel the obligation to. Yeah, we once had a tour bus called Blastmaster, and it was covered with fake black fur, and it had a picture of the Jam in the back, and it smelt of sick and a lot of different bodily functions, so we scrapped that. And now we've got the luxury of Ken's Star Traveller. And I'll sometimes sleep here. It's the heart of the bus, really. It's where you spend hours.
Rasha-meistern. This is all we do on tour. This is our life.
That's it. I've played live a lot in the early 80s, played all over the place, all over the world. It's a feeling I've missed for a long, long time. With the record I've made, Skyscraping, with Keith Lowndes and Glenn and all the other guys, I just went right back to my record collection, to how I felt when I first started making music, you know. So when it came around to sort of, should we play live or not, I just thought it'd be really nice to see the people who showed up, you know, if anyone would be there.
Thanks very much.
See ya.
Thank you. Bye.
We've been ABC fans for
15
years.
Right back to school.
I'm hoping they're going to do some of their oldies for me. But, and the new CD's brilliant anyway, so lovely.
Okay, thanks very much. Thank you later, Martin. Thank you.
I'm not in competition with the Spice Girls or Oasis, but it's a privilege to be able to make a record, you know, to be given the opportunity to make a record. So I spent a couple of years where I just didn't fancy doing it for a while. I've been doing it solidly for 10 years, since I was 19, and it gets to you. I realised that I was just going to end up writing songs about music business lawyers and hotel rooms and stuff like that. Records should have a lot of your personality in them, really, and your mad quirks, and I think that's what makes music potent, you know, when it's done right. And it'd all become a bit pedestrian, so I spent a couple of years just avoiding making a record, really. Had some kids, Nancy and Louie, my children, twins, and I really enjoyed not thinking about ABC for a little while. I hooked up with a guy called Glenn Gregory. He's also in it. He makes music in a group called Heaven 17, but him and a guy called Keith Lowndes, and we spent a summer just jamming, really, around my house. So when it came to make the ABC record, I wanted to keep that feeling and that spirit and that attitude. Now, I've always felt that way. Every time we made a record, we never felt like we got sort of a big career behind us. I've always felt like the underdogs, and that's sort of the attitude that I like to work from, really. And it's just the same when we made The Lexicon of Love, or when we made an album called Alphabet City. I do tend to sort of live in the present and look forwards, rather than sort of assuming that there's an audience out there for anything I do. There isn't, I don't think. You're only as good as your next thing. The sound now on record, no, it's more fluid. It's a bit more emotional, more soulful. But yeah, you go back to sort of great work just to sort of illustrate where you're coming from. You know, like a Sex Pistols track like New York, or Do the Strand Roxy Music, or, you know, a Smokey Robinson tune, or a Marvin Gaye tune, or a Bowie tune. You know, that's sort of the starting point in the studio sometimes with a written song. So just to get a really happy feeling, yeah, that's where I'm coming from. With Skyscraping, it's just a really positive sort of attitude. It was written in circumstances like this, in a park, you know, on a hot summer's afternoon. Someone like Bowie, he just keeps going. Nobody knows where he gets his energy from. You know, it's like he's got a picture of Dorian Gray somewhere. You know, you should only make records when you're up for it. And, you know, when you're not, it's just showbiz and it shows. There's guys like Paul Weller, who I admire, who just crack away. You know, they're defining something about themselves. And until you've sort of, if you write songs, until you sort of feel you've said it all, there's probably more songs to write.
You know, entered into a few disastrous areas, but have come out pretty unscathed, and just decided that it was time to get cracking again. And after doing a 2-month tour of Europe with a big orchestra, we played to about 500,000 people just before Christmas. When you're with a band for so many years, as I was with Spandau, the fame, the adulation, the travel, I mean, there's a camaraderie that builds around between you that is sort of second to none. I mean, I probably saw more of the band than I did of my family over those years. But then what it became wasn't very nice at the end of the day. So I was quite glad to escape, you know, escape pod, I was out, and never to return. The prospect of going solo is, yeah, it's quite daunting when you've got someone else who can cover interviews for you. You're a kind of little gang. You know, there's certain songs that are going to stick with you. And however famous Tony Hadley within his own right becomes, people, when I play concerts, even in 5 years' time, you know, touch wood, sold 10 million albums, they will all still always want, you know, oh, please do Through the Barricades or True. And I haven't got a problem with that. I'd be a fool if I'd be quite a sad person if I said I did, actually.
Basically chasing the success of the song all around the world. And it ended up kind of just dragging us behind it because everyone knew the song, but it was kind of like, what do you do? I'm a singer, Katrina and the Waves, blank, you know, Walking on Sunshine. Oh, that song! You know, and we got accused also of having other hits that we had nothing to do with. 99 Red Balloons by Katrina and the Waves and Echo Beach by Katrina and the Waves. It's like there was a little bit of confusion there for a while. We thought we were going to be U2. We thought we were going to be playing in stadiums. We thought we were going to be, you know, gigantic forever and ever. I've got a career. I'm going to get houses. I'm going to get cars. I'm going to be huge. I'm going to be big. I'm going to be on, you know, David Letterman and, you know, and we did do a lot of that stuff, but then you kind of see your career just disappearing right before your very eyes, and there's nothing you can do to sort of save it, because it's just, that's just life, you know? You have good years and you have bad years. We happen to have had 10 pretty miserable ones. The Eurovision opportunity came up, and we just thought, well, you know, we know what Eurovision is all about, you know. We didn't have a choice. If we wanted a career and we wanted another chance, we had to go for it. And we've always thought of ourselves as quite a credible group. You know, we're self-contained. We write our own music. We've always taken care of ourselves and been very, you know, self-sufficient, gone around in our own little bubble. But we thought we need some help. We need a big, huge, friggin' industry thing to save our asses right now. So we submitted a song that we were quite confident was going to win the Eurovision Song Contest, and we dove in. Fill the place, you know, 200 people is all we had to fill, and sometimes there were only 12 people in it because there was something more important on TV that night or something. So, yeah, it's nice to have done something that some people think is...
The 80s was a lot of very different things to someone like me. It really was. It wasn't just sort of an aspirational decade where you tried to make as much money as possible. The 80s musically was a whole diverse range of things, real extreme bands visually at the beginning of the 80s, like Dexys and like the Human League and Depeche Mode and Spandau Ballet and countless others, trying to make a feature film around themselves, trying to be as obsessively different from every other band as possible, right through to acid house, you know, ecstasy culture, bang, that was the 80s.
I'm kind of considering myself to be a new artist, and I think it's best that everyone, in a sense, treats you as such. I've got to go out there. Obviously, there's the diehards who'll go, wow, Tone, fantastic, we'll buy the album, we'll do this and everything. But then there's a whole lot of other people who you're going to have to convince, you know, is the voice still going? Can he still cut it? Yeah, well, you know, I can.
At what point do you stop making records? When people aren't buying them anymore. When you're absolutely dead in the water and it's confirmed nobody wants you, then you must stop making records.